Non-Miyabi.
I choose you!
What's up, guys? It's Flossin. And guys, I think it's finally time to talk about Miyabi. This is something I've wanted to do ever since Hugo came out, but I wanted to wait for another Ice DPS to release before opening this conversation. And now, with Yidhari as our next Ice agent, I think we really need to have a serious talk about Miyabi. And I'll just say this for the record and for the clip, I think Miyabi is way too strong. So today, we're going to talk about Miyabi yet again. The consequences of releasing an agent like her, and whether this is ultimately good or bad for the game and for players. If you find this video informative or just enjoy it at all, be sure to drop a like and subscribe. It's completely free and lets me know you enjoy this type of content. Now, with formalities out of the way, let's talk games. Okay, so I think the intro alone probably upset every Miyabi main out there. Please don't cancel me though. I like the Melon Girl too, I promise. Anyway, there are a couple reasons why this character has stood out to me more and more lately, and the first is because of the Ice category itself. Now, I'll just be 100% honest. Ellen, Hugo, and Yidhari are all viable options for Ice content, but they require a lot more setup and nuance compared to simply bringing Miyabi. This is where matchups and Zenless start to matter, and it's something that everybody knows at this point. The biggest offender of this rule is fighting Bringer and Deadly Assault. Even though he's weak to Ice, you'll actually have a harder time clearing him with Ellen or Hugo than if you just used an off-element anomaly team. I won't harp too long on Bringer because he's basically a Miyabi check at this point. If you want to clear Bringer very consistently, you just bring Miyabi. However, the same can't be said for content that's supposed to favor Ice attackers or Ice Rupture. Whenever Ice content appears, I feel like everyone's default reaction is the same. Just bring Miyabi. She has no real drawbacks in Ice attacker content, Ice anomaly content, and Ice Rupture content. The only time she faces any resistance is when bosses are literally designed to counter her, like Miasma Priest, the Defiler, or Miasmic Fiend to an extent. These bosses were clearly made in 2.0 to discourage her usage, and yet Miyabi has still fought through every single indirect nerf in the game and still remains at T0. Although Pridewind has put her on a watch list, I heavily disagree and still believe she is the cream of the crop when it comes to T0 agents. Now, I know I've said a lot that people already know, so why even bring this up? Because Miyabi being the pinnacle of damage should be a good thing, right? Usually in gachas, power creep kinda happens fast. Your favorite character eventually gets overshadowed by the newer, shinier toy. God forbid I load up Star Rail and try to play my E2 Firefly. Still salty about that, by the way. But Zenless has done the opposite. Since Miyabi's release, no character at a base level can compare to her. People love to argue Miyabi versus Yizhuan, but in all honesty, without buffs that are specifically catered or shilling to Yizhuan, she's a clear second place when it comes to Miyabi. So what is the point of this video? Why am I complaining about a consumer-friendly agent like Miyabi? Well, because at this point, every other Ice DPS is practically irrelevant. Yes, every agent can clear content, but Miyabi gives you the best package deal. Ellen is a great concept character who got overshadowed fast. Thank goodness she got a buff. Hugo's Totalize mechanic is fun and unique, rewarding multi-stunner compositions. And Yidhari? She got way more fun when I kept playing her more, but she doesn't make a noticeable difference on my account. All three of these agents have great designs, but there's rarely a reason to pick them over Miyabi. She can do everything and she's stronger. And I think the real reason why nobody has talked about this is, well, we all have Miyabi. She kind of is the must pull in this game. She's the only agent who doesn't have to worry about matchups because, well, her matchups are already dead before the fight even starts, if I'm being honest. Anyway, I waited until now because I was hoping Yidhari would prove me wrong. I wanted her to be that Ice agent worth pulling even if you already have Miyabi. But unfortunately, Miyabi is still just superior in every way. The only scenario where Yidhari could even outperform Miyabi would be if they released a boss with insanely high defense that forced you to bring a Rupture agent. So yeah, in my eyes, every other Ice DPS agent is cooked. Hoyoverse could release another Ice Anomaly if they wanted to, since that archetype is a lot more flexible on what you can do, but even then, how do you convince someone to pull an Ice Anomaly agent if they already own Miyabi? Also, random side tangent, notice how Bringer hasn't appeared in Deadly Assault for 4 months. Yes, it actually has been 4 months, which is conveniently the same time frame as Miyabi's rerun. With HP inflation steadily rising, the devs cannot bring this boss back in good faith without admitting how Miyabi-centric he really is. So yeah, they can either give us another Ice Anomaly to please the non-Miyabi havers, or keep pushing a Rupture meta and hope no one realizes the mistake they made when they released Miyabi. You tell me which one they're gonna do. I know I've said a lot of obvious truths in this video, so why am I worried? The reason why I'm worried, even as a Miyabi owner, is because of Ye Shuguang. From what the streets are saying, she's gonna be our next Void Hunter. That's not confirmed yet, but all the signs point that way. And while I'm excited to see what she brings, I'm scared this agent is going to be a Miyabi Part 2. Just for argument's sake, let's say she's a physical Rupture, but what if her archetype doesn't even matter? Just like Miyabi's. Will she have insane anomaly buildup on top of everything else? Do we just cut our losses with Jane Doe and go full Ye Shuguang for physical content? Basically what I'm trying to say is if every Void Hunter gets to bypass matchups like Miyabi does, then there's really no point in pulling anything but Void Hunters. You might as well go full Ash Ketchum and collect everyone for every element.
Hoshimi Miyabi.
I choose you!
Although it's fun to have options in the Ice category, it makes no sense to pull Yidhari, Hugo, or Ellen if you don't pass the first rule of Ice content. Do you have Miyabi? And this is a gacha game. Pulls either come from time or money. So the question really becomes, would you rather have 3 answers to 3 different problems or 1 answer to all 3 problems? When I look at it that way, as a CC who gives people advice, the choice seems obvious. It's kind of why I hope Ye Shuguang doesn't repeat the Miyabi situation. Because as great as a one-size-fits-all agent sounds, it comes at a cost of a 50-50 loss. And if you were someone who lost your 50-50 on Miyabi's rerun, you definitely understand where this sentiment comes from. Miyabi being the highest point of damage is fine. I'm glad we have a reference point. I just think that reference point was set way too high. Hopefully Ye Shuguang doesn't follow the same path, and I can look back at this video and be glad that I was wrong. But honestly, I wouldn't be surprised if I was right. At the end of the day, it's a gacha. If they want Ye Shuguang to do everything, she will. And we all will just have to pray that we win her 50-50. Also, if they release this character as a fire agent, I'm gonna make a video complaining about Soldier 11 again. But yeah. I think that's enough yapping out of me. Guys, again, I don't want anyone to think this is a hit piece on Miyabi. These are just my thoughts now that Yidhari's out and we know where she stands. In a ditch with Ellen and Hugo. Now, there's a lot that we covered in this video, both truths and hypotheticals, and because of that, this whole thing has me really curious. What do you guys think? How do you feel about Miyabi and Zenless now that Yidhari's been released? Do you agree or disagree with anything I said? And what do you think the devs will do with Ye Shuguang if she really ends up being a Void Hunter? Let me know in the comments down below. Also, big shout out to my Discord boosters and YouTube members. You guys are the ones that make these videos possible, so thank you. But until next time, happy gaming,
Bye.
and may your pulls be ever in your favor.
Hoshimi Miyabi.